I asked you what birthday is. Okay. Yeah, okay. Why don't you lose your job? The man said his door. Right. Not saying anything to you. Now, why don't you lose your job? My birthday. This time I get treated on my birthday at Jersey Mire. Your birthday. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Keep going. And you're going to have a whole lawsuit. You have the right one to put in there. You don't think nobody care.
If you work at any McDonald's, St. Jersey Mike's, you deal with that at least once. Actually, you only deal with it once a day. I would, I'll be like, just, you can't ask me for free. McDonald's, I would deal with that shit. Like, the stuff. How long are you going to wait for my fries? I'm freaking out. She wants a free sandwich because it's birthday. She wants to fuck your. Old people love dollars, but shirts. But like, wait, ladies, just so you understand, you have and being mad about it. Yeah, it's really bad. But it's basically, yeah. Time. Okie dokie. All right, buddy. What is it? Let's just do one more. She got 5 old guys for school, and Shannon she cooked a boxing. But basically, Shannon Sharp was saying that he's, Shakur's an open fighter. As far as entertainment, you're enough. Yeah, Shannon, like Denver Broncos fan, Shannon, a legend. Crasher's been on Shannon's show. A bunch of guys have. His team's not Shannon. His team has questions. Make sure it goes viral and starts. They know by bringing guests, Shannon's just going to ask a question. All right, so Shannon, if we find entertaining, like, of course, they was a team. We have question. The father knew. And so if somebody say something that you don't want to hear, you assume, well, I don't value your opinion. You're not a boxer. I don't know shit about boxing. That's all I'm trying to do. You don't know shit about basketball, but you got an opinion. I ain't trying to debate. I'm sitting here with Kawhi. I wasn't trying to debate Kawhi about basketball. I'm not that ignorant. I can have my opinion about it. That's it. I get all that. That's why I get the door. Book, it's something that you never come out of your mouth. You don't have a new okay. I run circles around you. I know book about a classroom. I million people on the plane had box school. And all that thing I'm doing. Be respectful. Being ignorant when it comes to sport. I'm on Shakur's on this way too. In boxing, that's a Shannon. Producer, I don't like that. I ordered viral. Yeah, Shakur's on the after shit. Not a bad. Also, I think Shannon hard to course get to that level in boxing. Boxing. Just like, oh, this is why. Producers and make sure you ask this question. I bet Chan eventually with the no problem. But I would imagine at the start, Chan, why? I'm not company down, telling me slower on it. It's crazy. Want a contract with Spotify or but you make it deal with. I love Shan. When it came out, it's hilarious. Yeah. One of the greats. Oh, but yeah. Did he never come back to ESPN? No. But he makes more money podcasts. Yeah. Did you see Bud Light dropped for it? Officially? Well, it's so fucked up. It's fucked up, but on my super chat, Black dude, I go, but like, don't you want to like rally around us right now? Support me so much further. And he made a good point. Black Ross goes, it's in the and drop him because he's having an alcohol issue. He got drunk. Drop him because he's at the. Oh, I'm not about that. Dustin went to high school and that all black in high school. Yeah, but that doesn't get it for bad. That's what there'll be a little timeout. Yeah, he'll be all right. Timeout for a little. All right, is that it? That's it. You're gonna be having Goobies, baby. Baltimore. I want to hear Baltimore, right? The wire outside that. Wire. Oh, lose the wire outside. Oh, you're old. Over there. Chill out. Okay. You know, walk through the cloud. High five. First one. Yeah. Common. Yeah. You know, I remind me because my badass one, but Joey is no kidding. That's great. Love him. I think he's going to move it, but I get there, but he's going to come back and forth. Yeah. Family. Our kids, I gotta pee. My kids, that's it. Just to find a kid. We're out.
Sure. Was born 125 days.
Yeah. Ethan. We made Mark. Chill. Church. Online or general. There are a lot of books out there. Play on the board. Gee, call. Go beyond. Look, you few of these authors have the background, especially of course, for whatever additional stuff was made up in the 3rd century, but I'd like to learn about the code that focuses on the origins of the concept of Allah, especially the old stratum of so far from the tree. What we'll find incredibly complicated, though, how to account for the origin of evil, Greek, rather than all other accounts. Moderated dualistic account still has its own origin. The realm of the divine plays a decisive role in the process of Egyptian before finally being obliterated. Day coming of the Messiah. It is from this realm that it strikes, learn about the modes by which it is appeased with its origins bound up and the physical dynamism finds wrote. Let's turn to the Book of Radiance, Zohar, and explore the world of the Sitra Achra, or the other side, pocket shell or hut. Hope. Role it may turn out may be to protect the mind as much as to. If you're interested in magic, hermetic philosophy, alchemy, Kabbalah, cult, make sure to subscribe and check out my other content on topics and interests. Playlists. Also, want to support my work by extensive content on topics as a terrorist here on YouTube for free. Support my Patreon with a one-time donation or use your thanks option that you can find. But now, side to the dross of gold, beads of self, the Achra, and the clean coat. I'm Dr. Justice, to Esoteric, where we explore the arcane, history, philosophy, and religion. It probably goes without saying that the problem of evil, how divine goodness, how much less produce demonic evil, has haunted belief in such belief. And of course, the question of our stagger variety from assuming radical dualism, just check the concept of God in toto. Generally speaking, Western philosophy, religion, two problem. The first is some form of dualism, that good and distinct with their benefits. Again, the other position that only divine they can be to kind of lack. People as privation, the latter people as privation, as most carry the unorthodox Abrahamic theologian philosophers, including Judaism, up until around the 3rd century, the rise of the Kabbalah. Around this time, early speculative Kabbalists, especially those in Rome, Spain, began to locate the origin of the process of divine information, specifically the moment associated with divine judgment, or the spira of the Dovor, or Dean, judgment. Your Kabbalists like Isaac Blind, or better, I think, Sagi Nahor, Arabic for the one full of light, was born blind, but he could see light, the best homies can see. He argued was simply the quality of divine judgment inflamed by human deeds, such that beyond a certain point of failure, divine wrath, unchecked by divine mercy, would lash out among us sinners. Evil was that very lashing out into a kind of divine loss of temper tantrum. Though here evil is still highly mechanically moderated, certainly has no ontological dependence. The excess of divine judgment is pure wrath at all. This position would be taken up and dramatically deepened by the Coen brothers of Coen Brothers Bowski and Treehouse Malit posit the production of evil as an ontological reality arose in the process of creation itself. Here the very process of creation generates an entire demonic realm, which are even afforded during the process of creation, while others seem to endlessly multiply throughout the universe, evil upon evil, even reaching up to the throne of heaven. Ultimately, our universe is a kind of battleground between divine good emanations and divine demonic emanations. That battle begins at the time of the final Messiah. This text fabulously baroque, and while I've done an entire episode on it, check it out, card above, there's just no substitute for reading for yourself. I own how weird, wonderful this text is. It's perhaps one of the most daring mythological texts of Jewish theology. While many details are idiosyncratic to that text, the core idea that the origins of evil are to be found in the process of divine creation itself, and that process is quasi-demonic here in the divine world are taken directly up into the most fundamental text of Kabbalah. Zohar are the book of Rabbi. The Zohar, or as you probably know, is a 13th century Jewish mythology primarily as a Jesus scripture of developing and founding a model of divine image known as the Road. Of course, the Bible in a way gone on to scriptural Judaism along with literature and, of course, the Bible. Also had a decisive impact on the development of Western esotericism, or general impact on about Zohar. Now, I've said mythology here because the Zohar is actually made up of layers, genres of mythical literature, and rare thematic form. You're not going to open the Zohar to chapter 8. It's like the origin of evil. Rather, discussions on this topic, every topic in Zohar, are spread massive region of Zohar literature, gathering challenge. So composed Zohar just as much interest in speculation, interpretation, and following ultimate complex logic, rather than anything systematic theology like that was by like Thomas Aquinas, Paris, around the same time actually. So what we'll see in our discussion of origin, nature, function, and evil in the Zohar are multiple layers and accounts. Is that in the narrative don't even logical sense together, but with their kind of thematic harmony, especially in terms of the theology and found Zohar. This general lack of thematic theory of evil, or actually general interest in thematic theology, philosophy, Zohar on it, part of what makes the text so challenging and alluring from the Zohar, the Meg that it's composed in, and the deeply laconic style that it develops. But, aside from all those, let's dive in. Core idea Zohar developed, divinity, creation, are a process of creation of which 10 moments in that process are made. Those are the Zerot. The Zohar is also interested in origin, nature, activity, and the final destiny of evil, perhaps more so than other such mythical texts that I know of. But all of reality is just a process of divine unfolding. How does evil come into existence and persist at all? Zohar provides several non-drift, we're not dealing with systematic theology here, several non-committed answers, which one basically canon. One narrative was always bound up eternally within the divine Godhead in the primal of Keter, crown. In order to take reality, forces of evil had to be extirpated from the divine. Thus, these erotic realities actually came to existence, only to be destroyed in the process of this created divine occasion. The Zohar argued that this process was in what is otherwise a kind of throwaway poem that died in Genesis 36. But once purged of this primeval evil, process of donation, the shards of evil left behind, and in that primal purification of the foundations of evil side or the another account, evil emerges at the opposite of the sporadic system, where the red of Gurah or divine judgment poured like magma full of Malchut. Slow ruptured Malchut and outpours a stream of steaming mud associated with primordial unformed matter called Tohu, Genesis creations stories. According to the passage, the primordial Tohu or unformed primeval mud is the origin of evil in the cosmos. Interesting. This is the only passage that I know of in the mass of Zohar literature where evil and matter are linked, and otherwise common trope in the theories of evil. And yet another more logical account, creation of the luminaries, the road, the sun and the moon, are linked to the origins of evil. In this account, the light from the luminary or road, Hebrew, especially the light of the moon, various reasons, including one in which the moon complains about. With this diminishing of its divine light, whenever the word for luminary spelled Hebrew is up there, such that rather than reading or luminary, one should read or curse. Divine light, this allows the world to come into being, or allows it to be unleashed. All manner of mayhem. Another account, where the first forms of Chokhmah are generated sent over to Egypt, and the last of the evil sorcery are actually contributed to. While interesting, these various accounts of the origin of evil are actually secondary in Kabbalah to the more standard account found in most Zohar. Here, emerges from the Sphira of Ra, or judgment, unchecked by divine mercy, or chesed. But rather than merely a punishment whereby human foibles claim it, like we found it before, the forces of severe judgment actually produce a kind of parallel, alternative, demonic, pure version of the demonic system. This demonic realm, sometimes as Reshuta Achara of other, but most commonly simply as Tra Achara, other side. Demonic mirror image of the divine Sephira system is manifested or 2 to 2b to 4b, where it emerges from a smoky darkness beyond all black called Katsu, the very shadow of it, which expands to pillars of darkness between the pillars of divine beauty to sovereign. mouth, the demonic couple, Samael. Demonic male-female polarity generates a series of lower crowns or breath. Unlike the divine breath, ruach, which gives life, works upon on the dual sense Hebrew of the word hevel, to be found in past, all of which are arranged with a series of anti-separatic knots, or kishra, kishri. These knots, or kishrim, form the first divine body, and given that they all fundamentally carry judgment, they all bear of anger, rage, wrath, hatred, as informed by the Samael, Lilith polarity, again, of the Tiferet mouth. The discussion of the anti-separatic knots is extremely convoluted, attempting to create an exact Achra configuration corresponding to the traditional erotic configuration proves honestly challenging debates about how exactly these correspondences work that centuries. Regardless, really clear in the Torah that the world of evil, Sitra Achra, which emerges from being Ra, own life. But what the primary agenda of the Sitra Achra and its demonic population is to feed upon the divine nations, first and foremost, further on human beings having their own evil inclinations or the Hara, in order to fully escape the realm, act on the Shekhinah or divine presence, in the hope of ultimately stabilizing the entire erotic system. Sitra Achra is fundamentally trial, inherent worthlessness, by compromising divine realm. In fact, Paul describes the power of Sitra Achra, struggle with divine Shekhinah, which is the balance can temporarily prevent Shekhinah from protecting righteous power of the other side. Unlike a rebellion, Sitra Achra is actually with a small amount of the divine flow. After all, its new final punishment is a part of it. Further, according to the Zohar, forces of Sitra Achra aren't totally related by human beings. In fact, there are two parallel concepts in the Zohar about the proper interaction with the Sitra Achra that humans should, in fact, have. They're actually Sitra Achra. Some aspect of many divine commandments actually to appease the other side. The idea of throwing bone, in fact, just how this bar had. Thus, some aspects of sacrifices their way to Sitra Achra gives non-Shabbat weak power over the non-nations, even the hand out of one for Sitra Achra. The goat Azazel is a kind of Sitra Achra, even sleep, which the Talmud reminds us of one's death, given over to Sitra Achra. We were told by not appeasing Sitra Achra, actually rage all the more and work. In fact, further divine redemption. Job, Zohar has a court of Pharaoh, overly righteous, appeased Sitra Achra, laid come to know God. Thus, while Sitra Achra is evil, it's still part of the divine plan of creation and redemption, but must have its share. Further, Sitra Achra functions as both a test of the righteous, but also a means of punishment for to the Hara or the inclination. Fully righteous, as the Torah has it, only possible to fully into the realm of Achra. All of the nations, one of them are pure. That's what the patriarchs of the Bible said, go down to Egypt, according to the Zohar, of evil. They have become breeding grounds for demonic powers like Adam. It's been like 100 by fornicating. The idea of That's a Stra'acha would prove later deeply perverted. Of course, this Stra'acha is constructed of rage and hatred. Unsurprising that from the inner recesses of the nation, divine wrath forged and unleashed upon foe. The angel of death thought in the heart of a combination of both Samael and Lilith combined about their task in the service of divine justice and redemption. Not opponent of God, they're actually part of the divine plan. In some extent, these part refers to describe the Stra'acha in a mythological, even Lovecraft, rather than the philosophical term. To be honest, section is the most difficult and perplexing the entire Zohar. Volume 2, 34a to 35b, the primordial before the creation, where great sea monsters black. To create, Divine destroyed one of these monsters, Leviathan, body to come, by the way, but a monster continued to dwell in the pit. When the divine light was created, just reached down into the murky, eat monster, not enough to penetrate the gloom cast by his shadow. Shadow off of the divine light, the monster was able to escape into the vast equal rivers channels with power. These channels in the dark become the world of the inverted road, Stra'acha, and the scheme called the loot, a kind of false people that are created and flourish. From this evil snake monster come all such beings, one that produced Adam and Eve. While never becoming the dominant narrative of Allah, struggle with primeval snakes certainly evokes very ancient mythology. I should also say that while these mythological sections never really take over the more dominant philosophical material, it did have a substantial impact on the development of Shabbatian theology. In fact, of Gaza Bushhakim, or the dragon, perhaps the most important definition of theology and its direct these sections, commentaries of sections on the Torah. Now, as you may notice, I've not gone through and enumerated the name and nature of the world, Stra'acha, and its anti-Sephiroth, the ninth. The reason for that is Zohar never really does so either. Now, I've seen lists of these negative Sephiroth or Klipot, or on the Klipot in a moment, don't worry, I'm in there. The truth of the matter is Zohar a systematic count of that's part 2, 242. We do get a pretty good list of the various forms of anger, wrath, hatred, kind of trapped in the Sephiroth, but it's hard to do a one-to-one match. Like Sephiroth, just a ultimate, just for the three cardinals of Captain actually given the Torah logic, or generally, intentions treat the 10th side. That's the Zohar 146, liberation of heaven or breath, or trying to seem like the structure of the Stra'acha. In another place, or shell, the message moment. But, 14th century Raya literature, shepherds are already attempted to systematize these knots of Kishreen or us. In that later layer of literature, which is incorporated or we do have Mashchit, counterpart of that, or anger, or Ra, or wrath, section of on, or equity, total, formless, void, H, or fire, and home, primordial heat, but it isn't clear at all in the text which he wrote corresponds perfectly to it all. Further, this discussion also goes to the matter of shells or the code, which do factor in discussion, but At this early juncture in the development of Kabbalah, it's actually written how. In fact, I am inaugurating hypnotizing commentary Zohar that continued to be written contemporary. And as we'll see, the theory of the quote, Achra the wrote, are not at all Zohar. But to understand this early conception of the shell of the hut, quote, or to understand that the Zohar typically imagines this road as one side the other, rather than typical asymmetric or tree-like integration that I'm sure all of you have seen. In fact, each layer is a husk or a klipa and a kernel for the shell above it, nested like a Russian doll. Now, recall way back toward the beginning of the episode where I was elaborating origin stories from Achra? Remember the one in which evil actually eternally in the realm of Keter, only to be initially shed in pre-creations, which were destroyed before the propagation properly began. Those shards of evil that originated within Keter were thrown off in the process of pre-creation, remained in the primordial Tehom. Back up with that part 2 to we're on of creation. Shekhinah is on the first Shabbat united with her lover, but her journey to her lover, she's ambushed by these primordial husks. To trap her, steal her divine energy. Perhaps back in the realm of Keter, where they were originally expelled. In a rather extraordinary passage in the Zohar, almost unique in the literature, we learn how to compose themselves with the best or expand fire or color. Names derived from the 1-4, the outermost, usually by a or its Ruach Sa'ar, or the wind, followed by Anan Gadol, or the cloud, Eish Mitachah, or the flaming fire, the flashing fire, finally the one nearest divine light, Yoga, or brightness. Final Klipa, close enough to the divine light. In fact, final Klipa is a kind of adds a picture of good and evil, so that it surrounds the Holy Shekhinah from the force of Achra. Here again, we find the idea of a Achra, with the divine feminine providing some kind of nourishment to the Klipa of God. Time resists the force of evil. Now, the original fourfold system of Klipot and Zohar will become attached to formation. Some of the knots of Achra, especially Bohu, or less employed respectively, and even the relationship of this to one another. In fact, if you want a brief mention in the Zohar where the Klipa, or the husk, runs Achra for each of the road as kernels, only to be cast that kind of primeval, ontological priority to they seem to come first in a weird way. It's worth it again that the fourfold system of the Klipa developed in the Zohar are very different structure and purpose for the 10 or 7 knots for Achra. But they will be large that consideration, speculation, especially those of Isaac Luria and Isaac. So this fourfold system never totally goes away either. Speculation of the Klipa with fantastic height, I suppose, Lurianic and Shabbatian systems, and would have it radically or Karnaim or the Book of Horn, but also extensively treated Tanya, the text of Kabbalah, in many ways, for Chabad tradition. As I mentioned early on, Zohar does not present us with a systematic theory of evil, either in the origin, future activity, final destiny of the Achra or post, but predominate and reoccur with enough internal consistency to see why certain endured into the Kabbalah directly, others had to be integrated, systematized with a lot more like a John Coltrane jazz variation on the theme of Achra rather than a mystic conception of ritual once. Be sure, however, the conception of evil found in the bar is truly